is CGTN, China Global Television Network.
Tens of people still unaccounted for after another boat tragedy in the Democratic Republic of Congo. The significance of external visits being made by the leader of Sudan's ruling military council. And mainstream political parties take a hit in the European Parliament elections. Hello and welcome to Africa Live. As always, great to have you with us. I'm Richard Nta live in Nairobi. For those of you joining us across the continent and around the globe, we thank you for joining us. Let's take a look at other stories making headlines this hour. Nigerian authorities have launched investigations on the recent listing of mobile operator MTN. And we update you on the first General Assembly of UN Habitat currently underway in Nairobi. We begin with the tragic news from the Democratic Republic of Congo. A boat accident in the west of the country is feared to have killed at least 30 people. The accident happened late on Saturday at Lake Mai-Ndombe. Simon Mbowemba, the mayor of the town of Inongo, says there were more than 350 people on board the vessel when it sank in bad weather. So far, about 180 survivors have been rescued from the lake. Many more are still unaccounted for. A majority of those on board are thought to have been teachers who were traveling across Lake Mai-Ndombe to collect their salaries. River transport is one of the most used in the DRC's numerous waterways. Boat accidents are common, typically caused by overloading of passengers and cargo. All right, to get more on that story, we are joined by Chris Ochemringa for more development on that particular story. Chris, thank you for taking time out to join us here on Africa Live. Well, Chris, tens of people are still unaccounted for in the latest boat tragedy to hit the DRC. What more can you tell us about this tragic event, and tell us more about the rescue efforts and recovery efforts that are being undergone?
Well, authorities in Mai-Ndombe province said they have retrieved 38 bodies from the lake and rescued 180 people. Now, the mayor of Inongo, Steve Wember, has been quoted as saying that the boat had around 350 people. Search and rescue operations are going on to try and find the missing people.
Well, Chris, how is the government addressing the very important issue of public safety when it comes to the use of water transport services, given the frequent number of accidents? Chris?
Well, the DRC government hasn't taken any serious action over the past 4 months, and that's because the government wasn't functioning normally, because they had no prime minister. There was a kind of a squabble between President Tshisekedi and his predecessor, Joseph Kabila, and so now that they have a prime minister, they're going to set up a team to ensure that they regulate that industry that has had so many tragic accidents. But I must add that President Felix Tshisekedi last month visited Lake Kivu in the eastern part of the DRC, where there was a similar accident that left about 40 people dead and more than 100 missing. He said that it's not going to be business as usual. They're going to punish all boat owners who do not follow regulations, overload, and do not ensure that their boats are safe to travel on the lakes in the DRC. But another thing that I must add is that the DRC is a very large country. It has a very poor road network, and so the boats are the preferred mode of transport for millions of people who can't afford to travel by air. And so this is a problem that has to be addressed by the authorities in order to stop this thing from happening again.
All right, Chris Ochemringa, would like to thank you for sharing your insight and analysis on that particular story. We certainly appreciate your perspective. Chris Ochemringa talking to us from Kinshasa. Moving on, Zimbabwe and China have signed a memorandum of understanding for the accelerated implementation of projects and enhanced cooperation. The two countries want to promote the joint execution of economic and trade measures they agreed to under the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation. Now, some of the agreements covered under the Memorandum of Understanding include upgrading the China-Zimbabwe Friendship Hospital built by China in Mahusekwe and Marondera district in 2012, and an 800,000 cash donation to assist victims of Cyclone Idai. Zimbabwe has also expressed interest in having stronger aviation ties with China through the establishment of a direct air link between the two countries. The African country has been facing power shortages, and the two sides put on the table the possibility of China expediting and upgrading the power station in Hwange.
We are going to be expanding onto all those areas, and thus we are going to be looking at the financial cooperation so that we can stabilize the financial sector. And secondly, we've got to look at the industrial cooperation so that we can look at import substitutions and bring Chinese companies which can establish and retool industries and value-add products which can then be exported either under industrial parks or under the special economic zones. And the other issue is to do with trade. We have said, while we don't appreciate whatever difficulties they have with the Americans, but we believe that we can take that vacuum so that we can increase our volume of trade with the Chinese in this regard.
Meanwhile, the 7th contingent of Chinese peacekeepers arrived in the northern Mali city of Gao last Thursday for a one-year mission. They will take on a number of tasks, including providing security and medical services, as well as constructing road, airport, and defense facilities. The UN mission in Mali was established in 2013 to stabilize the country after the Tuareg rebellion. It has become the UN's most dangerous peacekeeping mission. In 2016, a Chinese peacekeeping soldier was killed in a terrorist attack targeting UN facilities in Gao.
I am here again in Mali's Gao mission area after 2 years, and the current situation in Mali is still grim. We will carry forward the spirit of the peacekeeping hero Shen Liang and fulfill the peacekeeping mission entrusted to us by the United Nations Multidimensional Integration Stabilization Mission in Mali, with full devotion and tenacious fighting style, and hand in a qualified answer sheet to the motherland and people.
Let's go to Burkina Faso, where at least 4 people have been killed and several others wounded after gunmen stormed into a Catholic church and opened fire. The attack took place during the Sunday morning church service near the town of Titao in the northern part of the country. No group has claimed responsibility for the attack. This is the 4th attack on Christians in the past month. The government has blamed unnamed terrorist groups operating in the country and Africa surrounding Sahel region. The head of Sudan's ruling military council has met Abu Dhabi's Crown Prince. Crown Prince Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan expressed the UAE's support for Sudan, according to a local news agency. Sudan's Lieutenant General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan's visit to the United Arab Emirates came a day after his trip to Egypt. His Deputy General Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo recently traveled to Saudi Arabia. Analysts say the UAE, Saudi Arabia, and Egypt are trying to consolidate the influence in Sudan, while the North African country navigates a transitional period after the ouster of Omar al-Bashir. In April, the UAE and Saudi Arabia between them pledged $3 million in financial and material support to Sudan. Adel Al-Maraki has more on the Cairo visit.
While pressure mounts domestically from opposition powers, the chairman of Sudan's military council seeks Cairo support. It's Abdel Fattah Burhan's first visit to the Egyptian capital. Here, President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, his foreign minister and chief of intelligence, have held intensive talks about the political instability in Sudan.
Egypt respects the desires of the Sudanese people. Cairo will work to support talks between the military council and the opposition powers calling for change in order to lead Sudan in a more secure and stable situation. Security in Sudan and protection of their own common border is still crucial to Egypt's stability.
Shortly after President Omar al-Bashir's ouster, Cairo has reflected confidence in the Transitional Military Council to lead a desirable transition in Sudan. Burhan's trip is part of a regional tour seeking support from Saudi Arabia as well.
Burhan didn't come empty-handed. He has comforted Egyptian demands to arrest and send back all Egyptians wanted by security institutions. A demand al-Bashir has been reluctant to grant Sisi, which has made Sudan a safe haven for Muslim Brotherhood members and other opposition powers. Adil al-Mahroui, CGTN, Cairo.
Well, let's now get you more reactions on the recently celebrated World Africa Day. The day is an annual commemoration of the foundation of the Organization of African Unity back in May 1963, which later evolved into the African Union. Held every 25th of May, it acts as an important reminder of Africa's independence, freedom, and liberation from colonialist imperialists. Let's take a look.
We want to urge young Africans to keep this date in mind and urge them to reflect on Africa's current situation. This will enable them to face the challenges of Africa's unity and development, because Africa cannot develop solely off external help.
Africa still suffers from poverty and underdevelopment. When talked about in the media today, it is in reference to wars, disease, illegal immigration, and others. This, I believe, is a result of a policy of Western domination, looting, and imperialism.
I think there still remains work to be done in the quest for the total liberation of Africa. And this work, as long as we are not united, as long as we do not stand up and say no, and as long as our leaders do not also stand up and say no, I think Africa will never really be independent.
It is our cultural diversity that makes me proud to be an African. I am African simply because I am African. Look at the color of my skin. It is black. I come from Central Africa. My father and my mother are Cameroonians. I am married to an Ivorian. It is in West Africa. My children are African. My ancestors too. Everything in me is African. I share the identity, the culture, the food. I claim everything African. To the question of what makes me an African, my answer is I am all that makes me an African.
Time now for a short break. Here's what's ahead on the program. Mainstream political parties take a hit in the European Parliament elections. And we update you on the first General Assembly of UN Habitat currently underway in Nairobi.
How will your world change today? What happens here? What happens there? Or what you make happen for yourself? If it matters to you, it matters to us too. Your stories are these stories that need to be told. Africa Live. Find your voice. With a dedicated and diverse team of anchors, CGTN now brings Africa to the palm of your hand.
I'm sitting in Caribbean in the heart of Nairobi, which is bustling.
From everyday heroes to the continent's most powerful figures, we bring their voices to you.
And this is something most of us are very excited about.
We bring you news that's changing perspectives. News that brings Africa to the world. CGTN. See the difference. Africa Live. Find your voice.
Welcome back. Let's head further afield where mainstream political parties have taken a hit in the European Parliament elections. The center-right European People's Party still has the most seats, followed by the center-left Socialists. But it's projected the pair will no longer control a majority. They have been challenged by big gains from Eurosceptics, populists, and right-wing parties. The Greens, who lobby for environmental protection, also bagged record gains with double-digit scores across Europe's biggest countries. Turnout was estimated at 51%, the highest in 20 years. And U.S. President Donald Trump says his country and Japan are weighing a bilateral trade agreement to benefit both sides. Trump made the statement at a press conference with Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe this afternoon in Tokyo. Abe, meanwhile, mentioned wanting to talk to the DPRK leader Kim Jong-un directly himself on the issue of abductions of Japanese nationals.
We are currently negotiating a bilateral trade agreement that would benefit both of our economies. Our goal is to reduce our trade deficit with Japan, remove trade barriers and barriers of all kinds, so that U.S. exports will really have a fair and very profound footing. Just over 1 week ago, U.S. beef gained full access to Japanese markets for the first time since 2003. We hope to have even more to announce on the trade very, very soon.
I have to face Chairman Kim Jong-un myself directly. Without any conditions, I will meet with the chairman and I would like to have a discussion frankly in complete candor. President Trump has expressed strong support to my determination as such by saying
Trump also called on Pyongyang to transform the country by denuclearization. He announced that Japan plans to buy over 100 F-35 stealth aircraft, saying the purchase is the largest F-35 fleet given to any U.S. ally. The U.S. president is in Japan for a 4-day tour. He will visit the U.S. troops stationed in Japan on Tuesday, and he met with Japan's new emperor, Naruhito, this morning. Trump is the first foreign dignitary to be received by the emperor, who inherited the throne earlier this month. Back on the continent, the first session of the UN Habitat Assembly has begun at its headquarters here in Kenya's capital, Nairobi. The week-long event is expected to address the challenges of sustainable urbanization. During the session, members will establish the executive board of UN Habitat and elect its members to review and approve the UN Habitat Strategic Plan 2020-2025. They will also review the progress in implementation of new urban agenda. Among other things, at least 4 heads of state and over 40 ministers and high-level representatives from 116 countries are expected to attend. And in the heart of the Ivorian capital, Abidjan, hides Abobo Balole, said to be the most beautiful village in Côte d'Ivoire. The village appeals to many due to its clean streets, the quality of its gardens, and its carefully designed architecture. Let's take a look at this amazing story.
Abobo Baule is nicknamed the City of Grace. When one arrives here, you are immediately amazed by the landscape. Well-maintained streets with blossoming flowers and trees.
We have an environmental team that maintains the green spaces. This team comes every day to maintain our lawns, plants, flowers, and public places. During the rainy season, it must be done every day because, as you can see, the grass grows very fast.
The village has objects that belonged to royalty.
The village's resources are from the population because all of us participate in the life of the village. With regard to finances, we have implemented a payment policy for certain deeds relating to our land assets. We also receive donations from government agencies or politicians. All this money goes into the village's bank account, and it is from this account that we buy supplies to build our village.
The village has its own internal security system, a school, health center, hotel, and cultural center. But it faces a serious environmental
major challenge. It's the flooding of this part of the village during the rainy season. Indeed, the stone basin designed to contain these waters is completely silted up. This causes flooding during the rainy season. So if there are people of goodwill who can help us, it will be a blessing for the village.
Une source de bénédiction pour nous.
Located in the northeast of Abidjan, Abobo Baule has existed since the 19th century, combining tradition and modernity. It has been awarded the 2018 African Prize for the promotion of rural development and the integration of peoples. Tuli Shabalala, CGTN.
Senegal has this week been promoting the rights of children. The campaign to support the eradication of child abuse in Dakar sought to have a platform to discuss the challenges and opportunities for protecting children's rights. CGTN's Michael Karanja has more.
Senegal is raising awareness for the protection of children's rights. The one-week campaign was initiated by the Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights and supported by the Italian Development Corporation.
Among the key results of the project, I would like to particularly highlight the efforts made to improve the legal framework for the protection of children through the conduct of analytical studies by the Legal Department on the Protection of Children in Senegal. The most significant is the finalization of the draft law on the Children's Code, which is one of the greatest challenges Senegal is facing at the national level.
Italy is pleased to celebrate this cooperation, which aims to support Senegal in its plans to consolidate its democracy and in the practical execution of laws. These genuine commitments in protecting against all forms of abuse aim to develop a more disciplinary overview that combines environmental, legal, educational, and political action. This will lead to a better involvement in the promotion of the protection of children's rights.
At least 200 delegates participated in exchanging and sharing ideas. Senegalese authorities have been urged to ensure that children's rights are respected.
What remains to be done is immense in relation to the Children's Code. I believe that the Ministry of Justice, the Ministry of Women, and of course the National Assembly are working towards the finality of the vote on the Children's Code. There are more than 5,000 Quranic schools in Senegal that do not have any regulations. Anyone can open a school, take in children, and treat them in inhumane conditions, which is not normal.
According to Human Rights Watch, tens of thousands of boys aged between 5 and 15 are exploited and abused throughout Senegal. This initiative hopes to have made efforts to improve the legal framework for the protection of children in the country. Michael Karanja, CGTN.
Let's shift gears a little bit and return to an earlier story. The first session of the UN Habitat Assembly once again has begun at its headquarters here in the Kenyan capital. CGTN's Robert Nagila is standing by with the latest from the UN Habitat headquarters. Robert, thanks for joining us. Now, Robert, we understand there's supposed to be an election of the president of the UN Habitat Assembly. What's the latest on this, Robert?
Well, that's absolutely correct. After about 40 years of meetings and discussions centered around proposed changes to the governance structure of the Habitat, it was finally elevated this morning to an assembly, and with it comes a new president who was elected this morning as well, that is Marta Delgado from Mexico City. Now, as an assembly, it comes with additional challenges, also additional funding will be required, and we have from the Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta, who was the chief guest on the opening ceremony, which ended about 15 minutes ago, pledging to increase Kenya's contribution to the UN Habitat and other UN organs. So a historic day for the United Nations for this, but also for the UN Habitat, and good news in terms of funding, with Kenya kickstarting that process. Richard?
Robert, thanks so much for sharing your insights. But talk to us a little more. What should we expect in the coming days?
Absolutely. Now, the United Nations says that by 2050, about 70% of the global population will be living in and around urban areas. Now, this is what this particular assembly is going to be focused on for the next 5 days. Now, you've got close to 100 meetings taking place, some involving heads of state, others ministers come up with. So you've got various meetings all looking at quality of life of people in urban centres as you see the migration from rural centres all the way to urban centres and the population in urban centres growing as well. So that's what the discussion was. And
Robert, thank you for sharing your insight and analysis. Moving on, Algeria has welcomed the declaration by the World Health Organization that the country is now malaria-free. Stakeholders say Algeria will greatly benefit from the endorsement, and this may be reflected in its import bill for drugs. CGTN's Chao Mongono has this report.
Malaria is one of the deadliest infectious diseases in the world and the #1 killer in Africa. About 60% of fatalities are said to occur among children under 5 years. Recently, the World Health Organization declared Algeria and Argentina to be malaria-free.
The Algerian state has adopted an effective preventive policy against malaria and stopped its spread, especially at its borders with the Sahel.
The WHO said both countries have defeated the mosquito-borne disease through effective healthcare mobilization. This is measured by the ability of a country to stem indigenous transmissions of the disease for a continuous period of 3 years.
Algeria will benefit greatly from the announcement by the World Health Organization that it is a free malaria country, and this will be reflected in the import bill for drugs, which cost high sums for the public treasury every year.
The last reported case of malaria occurred in 2013 for Algeria and in 2010 for Argentina. Globally, 38 countries have eliminated the disease that infected 219 million people and killed over 400,000 in 2017 from WHO numbers. Algeria becomes the third African country to eliminate malaria infections after Mauritius in 1973 and Morocco in 2010.
Malaria, as you know, is contagious and dangerous and can cause heavy losses if the wounded are not neutralized and isolated from society. And science has discovered that these may be infected cases without being detected and that there is therefore a danger.
Malaria is typically spread to humans through mosquitoes, which transfer a parasite carrying the disease when they bite. It can also be spread through needle sharing, blood transfusion, and from mother to child during birth. Chao Mongono, CGTN.
Chirping of birds, sounds of whispering trees, burbling of streams. When sunlight sets the forest's leaves aglow, and waterfall surges down from the mountain, we see and hear the earth's wondrous beauty. The earth is meant to be appreciated, and the life of its inhabitants deserves our endless exploration. Come with CGTN to listen and see, in chorus of life, to marvel at nature and life.
You are watching Africa Live on CGTN. We've got your business news coming up next. Let's take a peek at the headlines. Nigerian authorities have launched investigations on the recent listing of mobile operator MTN. China partners with Egypt to boost potato yields and exports.
Africa is the nexus of enterprise, and global business will tell you why it matters.
From mega investment projects to multi-billion-dollar mergers and acquisitions.
Africa today collects, just in terms of revenues from taxes alone, $545 billion. If you take 10% of that and you devote it to the energy sector, that's all.
All this on Global Business, weekdays at this time on CGTN.
Africa Live. Find your voice.
Welcome back. MTN Nigeria says it is being investigated by the country's Economic and Financial Crimes Commission over a listing of shares on the stock exchange. Africa's biggest wireless carrier said in a statement that it wasn't accused of any wrongdoing and is cooperating with the investigation. The South African telecoms firm listed its shares on the Nigerian Stock Exchange to comply with terms of a $1.5 billion settlement in 2015 with the Nigerian Communications Commission. The firm was fined over unregistered phone lines on its network. Since the listing, the stock has jumped 41%, giving the company a market capitalization of $7.8 billion, second only to Dangote Cement. MTN is also in court challenging a $2 billion bill for alleged back taxes. The Egyptian Ministry of Agriculture, in collaboration with China, is working on improving the potato crop yield. Higher production is expected to enable the North African country to raise its exports of agricultural products. CGTN's Yasser Hakim has more.
Egypt produces 6 million tons of potatoes a year. 5 million are for local consumption and 1 million for export. Officials have been trying to raise the quantities of production, but they couldn't increase the land area for cultivation. China has stepped in to help in this endeavor. A number of tests took place using Chinese know-how and expertise. It was meant to study the Chinese seeds and agricultural system in Egypt's climate. There are 500,000 acres of potatoes in Egypt. They produce about 13 to 14 tons of potatoes per acre. The aim is to increase the potato crop.
We have worked with Chinese companies on using Chinese microtubes in cultivating potatoes. This has been successful as Egyptian producers managed to increase their yield per acre with the Chinese microtubes. We are continuing our research with the Chinese to try to reach over 50% higher crop of potatoes per acre.
Cultivating land using the Chinese methods will allow Egypt to increase its potato exports and raise more foreign currency revenue. This success has created an appetite for even more cooperation with China.
Chinese Deputy Agriculture Minister was in Egypt lately and held talks with officials here about expanding our scientific research cooperation in other products. We also increased bilateral trade in agricultural goods. For the first time exporting strawberries and dates in addition to citrus fruits. We are importing more rice and other products from China now.
Meanwhile, an awareness campaign is underway to encourage farmers and producers to cultivate their land using the Chinese microtubes. Yes, Hakim for CGTN, Cairo.
Kenya's troubled national carrier Kenya Airways has hit headwinds once again. The airline CEO, Sebastian Micols, has offered to resign from his role 5 months before his 3-year term comes to an end. Micols took office on June 1st, 2017 in efforts to turn around the losses incurred by the national airline. In 2018, the company reported a loss of $75 million for the 12-month period from $63.3 million in 2017. KQ Chairman Michael Joseph has, however, offered himself for re-election ahead of the company's 43rd annual general meeting on the 10th of June. The resignation is expected to come into effect on December the 31st. Fiat, Chrysler, and Renault are set to confirm a merger. Now, two of the world's leading car companies were in talks on a comprehensive global combination that could address some of the main weaknesses of both. The plan under discussion would involve some transfer of equity, according to a source close to the discussions. Renault chairman Jean-Dominique Senard presented an FCA Renault merger plan to French Finance Minister Bruno Le Maire on Friday. Now, the deal being discussed would include guarantees covering corporate governance and employment in France and Italy. Pressure for consolidation among car makers has grown with the challenges posed by electrification, tightening emission regulations, and expensive new technologies being developed for connected and autonomous vehicles. And U.S.-China Business Council president has refuted rumors that many American companies are considering moving out of China due to trade frictions. Craig Allen's comments are consistent with a U.S.-China Trade Commission survey that showed 90% of U.S.-funded companies consider China to be the most important market. 95% of those surveyed say they will maintain or increase their investment in China. He also adds that concerns about Chinese high-tech products related to U.S. national security should not be exaggerated.
That is not possible, and nor is it desirable. Most American companies are in China for the Chinese market. Most American companies are in China because China represents between 27 and 33% of global growth. Most American companies are in China because it has a middle class that is larger than the population of the United States. Most American companies are in China because it is such a dynamic, strong, vibrant, and innovative economy.
Meanwhile, the White House's recent moves against Huawei have prompted Google to suspend its Android smartphone services to the Chinese tech company. Huawei is the world's second largest smartphone manufacturer. CGTN Angela Coppola takes a look at the impact this is likely to have on South Africa and the rest of the continent.
Huawei users around the world and in South Africa were left panicked when tech giant Google announced it will no longer avail its Android operating system to the Chinese phone maker.
Huawei is already the second largest smartphone supplier in South Africa, and they sell an enormous amount of phones, high-end, mid-range, and low-end. People are not sure whether or not Google services, and the things we're talking about are apps like Gmail and Maps and Photos, those kinds of things. People don't know whether those are going to work.
South Africa saw a 7% increase in smartphone sales in 2018. Huawei showed the strongest growth. The Chinese manufacturer has been given a 90-day reprieve, but uncertainty over its relationship status with Google may hamper future sales.
If we come to a worst-case scenario where Huawei needs to terminate its relationship with Google, needs to introduce effectively probably its own operating system, its own platform, or continue using the open-source Android, which is not supported by Google and has its certain problems, then it could be problematic for owners of Huawei devices.
Several other companies in the US and other parts of the world are considering cutting ties with the company, but it's unlikely that mobile operators on the continent will follow suit.
The Huawei technology, I think, is so ingrained in many networks in Africa. So for operators to start trying to replace Huawei with historical technology and also limit its 5G deployment would be very costly. And I don't think they're prepared to go there.
While this is a global trade war, the impacts on Africa and South Africa are yet to be felt. It's early days yet, but certainly those consumers are going to feel some of this pain. I'm Angelo Coppola for CGTN in Johannesburg, South Africa.
In Senegal, the West African country is set to build the region's first wind farm. The $330 million project is in line with the country's goal to provide clean, sustainable electricity countrywide by 2025. CGTN's Terry Wangari has more.
This project will make Senegal the pioneer of wind energy in West Africa. The power station, which has been under construction for 10 years, will have a capacity of 450,000 megawatt hours per year.
We already have 20% renewable energy in the current Senelec park, and this new capacity will be added from December to the current electricity grid. we will have a modernized energy sector that will be up to standards with the quality production. The question of cost will be taken into account, as well as to allow universal access to 2025 with much more affordable costs for businesses and populations.
The wind power plant will also help to increase the production of clean energy in the country by 15%. The project's wind turbines will be built on a steel tower of 170 meters with an estimated blade length of 61 centimeters. This will maximize their production capacity through a sweep of 12,469 square meters. The energy generated from the plant will be sold to the country's power utility Senelec under a 20-year management contract.
This plant will contribute to lower production costs. It will be part of the most powerful power plants of the electricity facilities. With its production costs lower than the oil one, it will contribute effectively to the decrease of the global cost of production, and ultimately, when we will have gas to finalize our energy mix, we will be able to move at this moment towards lower rates for customers.
As part of the Emerging Senegal Plan, authorities want to achieve a 30% target for renewable energy by 2030. Built on an area of nearly 40 hectares, the wind power plant will produce its first megawatts by December 2019. Its construction will create 400 direct jobs and several community development projects in the country. Terry Wangari, CGTN.
Time now for another short break. We have a lot more amazing and wonderful stories coming your way, including we show you a glimpse of Africa's painful past as captured in artistic expressions.
The greatest journeys, the greatest sights, the greatest adventures.
Even Panalter this year allows the locals to walk on water.
We're far more than just TV news. We're your passport to the wonders of Africa.
To bring you stories of struggle, survival, and hope.
So let's explore. CGTN. See the difference.
Africa Live. Find your voice.
Welcome back. South Africa and Zambia have come together to relive the continent's painful yet triumphant past over colonialism through art. The Nauru and County exhibition at the Johannesburg Art Gallery showcases a collection of expressive pieces about some of Africa's painful history. Julie Shire caught up with curators of the exhibition.
The exhibition is sort of programmed around us kind of connecting. We have about 10 to 15 artists showing within the exhibition, and we were looking around the conversation about, Africa Month and how do we want to express that, but also the connection that Zambia had in being a protectorate of South Africa during the apartheid government, and what artists around that era from the 70s, 80s, 90s were kind of speaking about. Because in order to move on, we need to understand where we've come from. So if we don't know about the past, we cannot create a future.
So the idea of South Africa's 25th year in its democracy, we didn't want to get trapped in a kind of romanticism or nostalgia of a particular time period, which was that of the armed struggle against apartheid in South Africa. But we know that there is a lot of knowledge and stories that we need to engage about that time, because we know it to be a reality that while a lot has changed, there's still a lot of issues that we need to work through, brought about by conditions that are obviously seeped in a history, in a very violent history. The amount of artistic production that is coming out of the continent is amazing for me in terms of dispelling the myth that we're sort of one homogenous group, and you can kind of see through the work that we produce that we have different sensibilities and that these are complicated issues that we share but in very nuanced ways.
My hope is that these barriers that I call myself a Zambian or a South African, but that we are all Africans and that we can connect because we all basically have the same story. We've all been colonized and we have to break that barrier together.
To Mauritius, where the Chinese culture is being observed as part of the festivities. Over 40 families came together at a Chinese kite-making event. CGTN's Daniel Arab-Moy has this story.
The Indian Ocean island of Mauritius is celebrating China Tourism and Culture Week. At a Chinese kite-making event, Mauritians young and old are trying their hand at building, gluing and painting traditional kites.
So here is pretty much a title. This is our main bird that was extinct like many years ago. It's our symbol. Here is just a boat that I made for my brother because he really loves boats. I really wanted to honor him. So here basically we're mixing the Mauritius culture and the Chinese culture. The Chinese culture is the flag, but the Mauritius culture is all the main things drawn on it.
The African island of Mauritius is a melting pot of cultures. Many Mauritians can still trace their ethnic ancestry back to China.
You know Mauritius, how it is, and it is the first country to have a cultural center. So we always, government is always trying to get the culture imparted to not to let it lose. So we keep in touch with the Chinese generation so that we can transmit from generation to generation.
But for many of the participants, it was their first time experiencing Chinese kite culture.
Actually, we are practicing Wing Chun in Ipman Wing Chun school here in Port Louis, and very interested in everything Chinese culture. So the school invites us, and it's definitely a great event. Children are amazing; they make fantastic drawings, and I'm quite amazed, and definitely very nice initiative.
With kite construction complete, the families brought kites of all shapes and sizes down to the beach. Here they let their creations loose into the coastal breeze. Kites are believed to have originated in China, which has a history of more than 2,000 years in this particular artistic expression. Daniel Arab-Moy, CGTN.
Tunisian Sufi and religious chants are usually sang during the fasting month of Ramadan. Led by Tunisian Sufi music icon, musicians, singers of all ages gather at a centenary cultural center near the prestigious mosque of Sidi Bou Said to celebrate love, compassion, and religious tolerance.
This renowned Tunisian Sufi music ensemble was founded by Ahmed Jelmem in 1990. 29 years old, a new generation of musicians and vocalists joined the band to perform Sufi supplication.
الناس يتفرجوا فينا إذا كان هذا رمضان معناتها بعد صلاة التراويح والكل.
During the holy month of Ramadan, we perform at different locations after the night prayer. People from all walks of life enjoy the music and chants on Prophet Muhammad. Sufi music is a mixture of Islamic culture and tradition.
أغاني خاصة بك المناسبة ذيك. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Millions of Tunisians would recognize Ahmed's Quran recitation, which is often aired on the national radio and television. He learned the holy book at the mosque at an early age.
الانطلاقة متاعي كانت بطبيعة الحال.
Learning Quran allowed me to know the Arabic language and to feel the rhymes. I also improved, then perfected my pronunciation. These are necessary skills for any Sufi singer.
فيها روح.
Haj Hamadi has accompanied Ahmed since his childhood. He considers the singer as his own son. The septuagenarian describes the youngest Sufi performer as the most talented of his generation.
I am older than Ahmad, but I have learned so much from him. He's been talented since he was a kid. We've been singing Sufi songs for the past 40 years. This tie is very strong.
The Tunisian icon is grateful to his master, Sheikh Hamida Ajej, who's taught hundreds of young men the essence of art in Sufi music.
I spent years at this centenary house. Here, I learned how to sing, dress, and enjoy Sufi music. I'm grateful to my master for teaching me this art that I'm proud to transmit to the next generation.
During the holy month of Ramadan, Ahmed Gunmen and his ensemble tour the country and share their passion for Sufi music, chants, and art in general. Ahmed's concerts celebrate the values of tolerance and compassion in Tunisia and the world. Adnan Shawishi, CGTN, Tunis.
We've got your sports news coming up after the break. Let's take a sneak peek at the headline.